My name is Abraham Kamau. I'm the CEO of Miradi Capital. Today we'll be speaking about Safaricom, and Safaricom in the context of, is Safaricom a dominant player or not? Now, as we get into that discussion, we want to first decide or look at what dominance is in the context of competition. A player is deemed to be dominant if they control more than 50% of the market. That is by definition. So now, let's look at Safaricom. If you look at their different segments, let's start with data. Data, they're at about 30%, so they'll not be considered to be dominant there. Then but go to by the market share. The market share, they're at 64%. Now, if you compare that 64% with any other telcos in Africa, no other telcos in Africa actually crosses the 50% mark. So they are unique in that sense. Lastly, look at M-Pesa. They actually control 99% of the market. So, Safaricom as a player in the market is dominant in the sense that they control 64% of the market, and they control more than 50% of some segments of the market, apart from the data business, which is the home fiber business. So if you push that forward, then is dominance a bad thing? The answer is no. Is it forbidden? It's no, because that is the ultimate goal of any business, to consume as much market share as possible. Like what M-Pesa has done, they're at 99, they still have a 1% to go. But what is wrong with dominance is if you use that dominance to stifle competition. So now that boils down to the question of, has Safaricom used its position to dominate, to stifle competition? Now, this is a question that I've looked around, and several things have come up. Now, number one, you'll see that Safaricom has refused to share their agents with other players. So that means that any player coming into the market cannot share the existing infrastructure. They have to build their own capacity. Now, if it's M-Pesa, for example, which has 99% of the market, that means they also control probably around 99% of those agents. You see, for you to build up, even to compete with that person, becomes very, very, very difficult. Number two, there's the issue of charging different prices for differentiation. What do I mean? For example, if you're sending money from Safaricom to Safaricom, it's cheaper than Safaricom to another Safaricom person. Now, that is taking advantage of your position to what we call you're ring-fencing your market, because you're making it more expensive for somebody to use another player to get that service. Thirdly, and also very important, is they have used that position to charge much higher than what everybody is charging, which actually should be the opposite. If you look at Airtel Money, if you look at T-Cash, they're much cheaper. But you see, because of their negligible market share, their impact is minimal. So the question then begs, what do we do? What do we do about what's going on? And to take it further, there's just one more thing that when a player reaches a point where they can restrict others from entering, either by market practices or by making it so onerous for somebody else to come in, then basically you're stifling. And in Kenya we have got a competition authority. The competition authority is supposed to check those kind of practices to ensure that we do not get to a position where one player dominates. The question is, this dominance, do we have to intervene, or is this dominance going to end on its own? Now, if you look at market share, Safaricom has consistently been losing their market share overall. So what it means is that if that trend continues, then this problem will cure itself over time. We don't know how long, but it will cure itself over time. However, to intervene in the short run and the medium run, then we would have to invoke certain clauses within the competition. The competition authority would have to get involved. And one of the things that has been proposed is, for example, is to hive M-Pesa out of of Safaricom and make it a different organization.
And that's how?
Yes, it would, because now that will be a different organization. Because right now, M-Pesa rides on the back of the strength of Safaricom. The same way they did with Microsoft, they split them into three, and that helped a lot, because as Microsoft was then, nobody could compete with them, and they were even going ahead where computers were coming already pre-installed, and that's what one of the things that Safaricom does is nowadays when they sell their phones, they already locked their network. See, so those kind of practices defeat competition, and why they defeat competition? Because they can. If you're controlling 64% of the market, you just ring-fence at 64%. If you're controlling 10% of mobile users, or mobile money users, then you lock that out. And now you imagine a scenario in the COVID dispensation. That means 99% of us were locked under M-Pesa. And remember also, sometimes it's not about the cost of doing business or the cost of transaction. It is the convenience of transaction. Because of that domination, everywhere you turn, you see. So somebody will prefer to be on M-Pesa irrespective of how much it costs. So the question is, do the consumers have a choice? As of now, in terms of mobile money, no, not much. Because today, if I told you to use any other option other than, you'd really have to look around. First of all, hardly anybody knows how to do it. And when you do, you have to really look around. And when you get there, they probably will not be in the mood to do it for you. So, overall speaking, I think we have to look at this issue in a sense that does it threaten business overall? And the answer is yes. Because when you have one dominant player, it means that if something was to happen to that player, or in whatever sense of that word, then the impact will be massive in the economy, because it will disrupt business. Like, for example, whenever there's a glitch in M-Pesa, everybody is shouting, we can't do business, we can't do this. So literally we are running on M-Pesa, which is a good thing, good for them, because they've reached a point where they've literally put all of us on board. But what we need to think about is, what does that portend to all of us as an economy? In the sense that if they decide to abuse that position, what are we going to do?